Three bills to keep illegal aliens off roadways in Tennessee are to be heard in subcommittee, while two bills to get the fluoride out of our drinking water are also going to be filed in the General Assembly. The governor seeks broad homeland security powers, but of course doesn't want Tennesseans to really know what's going on. And a bill criminalizing illegal aliens who have a final deportation order passes in the House. A critical vote on property rights. Janice Bowling, the Iron Lady of the Tennessee Senate, is bringing back her nullification bill for a fifth time, and it looks like Second Amendment rights for renters has passed the Tennessee Senate, and finally, proposed legislation would require Tennessee agencies to show they are compliant with getting the DEI bullcrap out of state government. It's Brandon Lewis here with the 10 Con Big 7, bringing you more information in 10 minutes on what's going on in your state government than the mainstream media brings you all week. If you want to be on our newsletter list, please do text the word news to 423 205 5600. That's 423 205 5600. And of course, you can go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, hit the subscribe button. And if you care about keeping the state's only conservative media outlet alive that cannot be bought for a few $1,000s of campaign ads, please do hit that support button. We need your help. First story. The Tennessee House Transportation Subcommittee is scheduled to hear three bills related to keeping illegal aliens off the roadways. House Bill 1817, sponsored by Representative Lowell Russell, aims to keep drivers with a commercial license off the road if they can't read English, because that's where we usually put the road sign language. So if you can't read that, probably going to be in trouble. House Bill 1706, sponsored by Jason Zachary, would prohibit illegal aliens from operating a commercial motor vehicle in Tennessee and requires that law enforcement arrest individuals, notify federal immigration authorities. And House Bill 1708, sponsored by Kip Capley, requires an individual who applies for a driver's license to be able to speak and read English sufficiently. We might want to extend that to the kids in Tennessee government schools because their proficiencies are pretty low as well. Next story. Anti-fluoridation bills filed for 2026 in the Tennessee General Assembly. Two separate bills have been filed to get the fluoride out of our water. Representative Michelle Renault's bill from up here on Signal Mountain would add fluoridating public water to a list of prohibited acts that were under the Tennessee Safe Drinking Water Act of 1983. A second bill that Susan Lynn is bringing would basically get fluoride not only out of public water, but also out of bottled water. And any persons who fail to comply with defluoridation and testing requirements could get a hefty fine of anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 per day for each violation. And if they find it in your drinking water, it's $500 a bottle. Whew, that'd drive the cost up. Next story. Tennessee governor is seeking broad state Homeland Security investigation authority, but he wants to make it confidential so that we don't know what's going on. It would make all the records of the office confidential, closing them to public inspection even after investigation and criminal cases are finished. A departure from laws that apply to local police departments. As part of his expanded authority, it would be allowed to secure the state election infrastructure at the Secretary of State's request. I don't think we need that to be covertly done. I think if we're going to secure our elections and the integrity of our elections, it needs to be pretty darn public. That would just be my 2 cents. Um, Jack Johnson and House Majority Leader William Lambert are sponsoring legislation for the Lee administration. A big question I would ask is like, do we have a lot of threats on the horizon? Like, why do we need to give the governor broadened security powers that are confidential? I'm telling you, after 2020, watching the way that he handled COVID and watching how the leadership, William Lambert and Jack Johnson, handled COVID and essentially got everything wrong when we were in the biggest emergency that was man made and created and manufactured. Like, these are not the people you want to be going around, quote unquote, keeping us safe confidentially. That's my opinion. And it would allow them to conduct overt and covert investigations for threats of terrorism, cyber attacks dangerous to school and infrastructure and public officials. You know, after the Covenant School shooting, Governor Lee's only solution was to take away rights with red flag gun laws and gun abiding citizens, he still hasn't addressed the issue of the fact that this is caused by some kind of transgender mania, medication, and all kinds of intervention. I mean, the man, every time he's faced with a real emergency, whether it's in education, health, or public safety, he always gets the solution wrong. And then he fails to actually tackle the problems that are real problems. So I don't trust this administration or any other to do this stuff covertly. Bill criminalizing illegal immigrants found in Tennessee who have a final deportation order passes in the House, and it passed on a 6-2 vote on Wednesday in the House Criminal Justice Subcommittee, sponsored by William Lambert. Essentially makes a Class A misdemeanor for anyone with a final deportation order who enters or attempts to enter the state. It is found in Tennessee's state lines. And Lambert said Tennessee is collaborating with President Donald Trump's administration to make the state the nation's leader. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I think we went to the Capitol and had a big protest, I don't know, a couple of years ago, maybe three now. We don't need Donald Trump to lead. We need you to lead. And if the only way we can ever get leadership on illegal immigration in the state of Tennessee is when we have somebody that'll actually do something about it in the White House, chances are this may be one of the only times we see it in modern American history. So we need you to be strong. We need you to be fighting. We don't need to depend upon federal involvement. It should be a state ran issue. But, when there's not any leadership at the state level, they got to look for it somewhere else, either to place the blame or to look for someone to follow. I wish we would just do it ourselves, but it's not the mentality that most of them have because they know that most Tennesseans are more focused on what goes on in Washington than Nashville, and that low information voters are easily duped. And therefore, if Trump's not in office, they can't do anything, which isn't the case. Guys, these stories and all that we have been reporting in the General Assembly, so many of them, you will not hear a whisper or a peep from the mainstream media unless they are to deride them if they are conservative. We need your help. We are spending more money now than we ever do all year long. And the bills go through the roof when the session's in session. So if you could go give some extra cash, go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com/support. If you give $50 or more, we will send you a proud Tennessee conservative tumbler, a koozie, a directory, my heartfelt thanks, and lots of other things. I don't know if there are lots of other things, but just assume that there are. And you can also mail your checks to P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee. That is P.O. Box 625, Signal Mountain, Tennessee. We do need your money, and more than anything, we need recurring monthly donors, which is like trying to pull hen's teeth with conservatives. I do not know why. If you want conservative media, we really need to know that that monthly budget is there. So please do kick in a little bit and hit that recurring donation button. Critical vote on property rights scheduled for Civil Justice Subcommittee. And Tennessee eminent domain bills are like Swiss cheese. Bud Halsey and Janice Bowling in the Senate want to close a loophole that placed property owners on a more level playing field with airport authorities. And as it stands now, airport authorities and other condemners hold the ultimate power over property owners to take their property, and although takings are rare, that's because the power of eminent domain does give condemners a one sided power structure to persuade property owners to basically give up their property, often without considering all the cost or the value. The legislation provides compensation for certain damages and empowers the property owner in court to get an independent property appraisal at the expense of the condemner, and it also covers relocation costs, damages caused by lost wages, lost profits in business, increased interest rates, business loans, attorney's fees, etc., just to have a little bit more option and a little bit more standing for the homeowner. That sounds like a good bill. Janice Bowling, who never quits, the Iron Lady of the Tennessee Senate, who probably has more conservatism in her little finger than half of the Republicans in the Senate have in their whole body. She's bringing her Nullification Act. We needed this during COVID, if we learned any lessons, and that is the fact that states precede the federal government, and that things that are not enumerated in the Constitution, we do not have to bow and scrape for in the state of Tennessee. And under the authority of the Constitution, the bill states that the United States of Tennessee, people have rights and state sovereignty may be asserted against the federal office holders, and it puts together a framework to do this if and when it needs to happen. But our state leaders in the Republican Party think that the federal government runs Tennessee and that Tennessee does not have any autonomy. And so, because they, basically put us on a funeral pyre in 2020 for a few federal dollars, I don't want to see that happen again, and this would give an orderly fashion to stand against that federal overreach, and it would create a pathway and a process. This should be a slam dunk, no brainer, and I think it is a barometer and a test of the level of conservatism in the Senate that it's taken this long for them to pass this. And I don't know that they'll pass it this session, but if you want it to happen, reach out to the folks because we need it. Second Amendment rights for renters passes in the Senate, and basically it ensures that if you're renting a house, you can be carrying heat, and it was sponsored by Senator Bobby Harshbarger, and allows you to lawfully possess, carry, transport, or store a firearm or any part of a firearm or ammunition, and to get to and from where you need. And it passed 8-1 out of the Senate Commerce and Labor Committee, and it is going to be on the Senate floor Monday afternoon. And of course, objections came from Democrats who protested the scope of the bill, etc. But it's good to see that moving forward. Finally, Jason Zachary is saying that agencies and departments must submit a report to the governor and the General Assembly by January 31st of each year. It must detail steps that have been taken to remove DEI, as well as any complaints that were filed related to the violations of those laws. And if they fail to show compliance, they can get their money yanked, which is frankly about the only thing they care about. Guys, that's a pretty quick Big Seven. What's going on this weekend? Well, what are we doing tonight? Nothing. Doing a big old bunch of nothing. I've got to go out to a industry conference, and I'm also it is at Disney. I don't really like the idea of giving Disney my money, but it's where the conference is, and we've got an extended room block. And our youngest went when she was, our oldest rather, went when she was 7. Our youngest is now 7, and so Brandon Lewis doesn't become a conservative party pooper. We're all going down there because it is a small world after all, and we're going to make sure that we have a good time. So I'm looking forward to that. We're also going to be celebrating my darling wife's birthday, which will be occurring at the same time. And this Saturday, unfortunately, I am bereft of the company of my oldest daughter, who is on a church trip to Gatlinburg with the youth group. And so it will be me and the youngest and my beautiful wife celebrating all the love that is at Casa de Lewis. I'm truly blessed to live in a house full of beautiful women. So we're going to do that. And Saturday night, of course, we'll be going to church. And then Sunday, I got to pack and prod and plan for this upcoming conference, which is the last of my season. I'm so glad. My winter is extremely busy, which just so happens to coincide with the Tennessee legislature being in session. So my winter months are hot and heavy. And of course, as I always mention, I do this as a volunteer. I do not take payment out of the Tennessee Conservative. And so it's a lot of burden on a little burrow, but I try to make it happen. Guys, I hope that you're doing well. Do keep an eye on these articles. Pick up the phone, pick up your emails, reach out to your legislators that are on these committees, and make sure that the conservative stuff gets across and the liberal stuff that conservative brings, not conservatives bring, but rhinos bring, doesn't make it across the finish line. Make your voice be heard and physically go up there. Raise a little cane from time to time if you need to. Lord knows the left does it, and we need the right to go up there and do it more. Love you, mean it. Brandon Lewis here with the 10 Con Big 7, signing off.